Well, it's your boy, Dustin from the Flying Chariots, The Rise podcast. And I got a special guest today, Angela. She's a paranormal investigator and the creator and host of Ghost Haunting Beauties. And her show is really dope. You need to check it out. And I just thought I'd invite her on my show just to kick the shit and see where and how she got into the subject of ghosts.
Heck
So,
yeah.
Angela. How's it going? And where'd you grow up? And how'd you get into the field of the paranormal?
Well, I'm just a Texas girl and kind of like everybody else that gets into the paranormal, you usually start off with growing up in a haunted house. And I kind of say most houses are haunted because think about it. Everyone says this was built on Indian burial ground. Well, kind of wasn't the whole United States Indian burial ground. So everyone's on Indian burial ground. Everyone's probably got some kind of haunting. It's just if you're open to seeing it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when did you have your first experience with the paranormal?
That's when I was a kid. Basically, there was this blonde woman I kept seeing walk through our home, and my mother, she's blonde. And so for a while, I'd think it's her late at night. And I thought, man, she kind of gets up a lot at night and seeing her. And until one night, I noticed that she walks past into my kitchen. And then my mom opens the door on the other side of me, and I go, oh, okay. And my friend who is to my left, we're like, oh shit. So we're both freaked out. So at least I have a witness to it. And when my show came out and I told this story, little did I know, my brother turns around and goes, so you saw her too? And I went,
Ooh.
you saw her all these years and you never told me? And I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
So
Well,
kind of started with the blonde lady at my house.
that's cool. And yeah, the fact that your brother saw it too, right?
Right? It's like you think siblings would talk about this, but he probably didn't want to scare me.
Yeah. Or maybe he thought he was crazy.
Or that too. We all do when we first see it. When you're a kid, like,
Mhm.
you don't really know unless you're watching horror films. And most kids that I know of don't watch horror films. Now they have Goosebumps or they had
Yes, yes.
Goosebumps and all those shows. So kids are more acclimated to spiritual stuff. But back then,
Right.
unless you were willing to watch Poltergeist and not sleep for several days, like you had no idea what was going on.
Sure, sure. So since that first experience, did you like just had in the back of your mind of the paranormal, just being interested, and then now you're being an adult and like finding yourself now hunting and going investigating cool places that are haunted and now having your own platform?
Oh, wow. So when I was a kid, it started my interest for sure. So, I mean, being a kid, but I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a lot of guidance, didn't have a lot of books. I always checked out really cool books on UFOs and on, paranormal. I started reading R.L. Stein like a lot of the
Mhm.
kids did, and
Yeah.
I started teaching myself different things, but I didn't realize that I was a full medium and I was
Oh,
attracting spirits. I had no
okay.
idea. So I was inviting friends over. We would hold hands and we would be channeling things through me. I had no idea to do that. I hadn't seen anything until Poltergeist.
Ah,
And this lady, this little lady, and I go, that's what I do. And I felt, like, oh. And then I saw, of course, Beetlejuice, and I was like, I myself am strange and unusual. And I went, that's like me. And I felt that I had like a voice, but we didn't have paranormal shows, even the subject with UFOs and cryptids, they weren't as popular. It was more of, is this even real? And now you've got the government going, oh, yeah, by the way,
yeah.
by the way, we're going to tell the world that it's real and no one batted an eye.
Yes. Yep. And the fact that we have the History Channel talking about aliens now, like
Oh,
it's like,
yeah. The
yeah.
ancient aliens guy.
Yes. Yeah.
The ancient, I always
Yep.
do this because of the hair. I go, what is
Giorgio
called that?
Tsoukalos. Yes.
Right. Right.
Yeah, no, again, it's awesome that now we're adults talking about this stuff that we as kids just thought was super cool and interesting.
Oh,
And
yeah.
now like it again, having our own personal experiences, like yourself seeing ghosts. I haven't unfortunately seen a ghost, but I have seen a
Oh,
UFO back in
whoa.
2012 where it sparked off this whole journey where I'm at.
See, there
But
you
I
go.
don't need to tell that story. I've told it a million times on my podcast.
You're
I can
like,
tell
I've
you
told this
some other
story.
time. But but no, like the closest family member of mine that's seen a ghost, or actually, I guess, heard the ghost,
Yeah.
was my dad, and his cousin. They were about 10 years old and they're waiting at the
Whoa.
house because their grandfather was at the hospital dying. and
Oh,
they're just
no.
waiting to hear back from the family. I guess they got a phone call from their mom saying, "Hey, Grandpa passed over. We'll be coming home soon." And then shortly after they hung up the phone, they hear in the basement where he has his workshop of sawing and hammering and
No.
other tools being shuffled around.
Holy
And
moly.
they were so scared. They both like ran to the other room just crying. And the parents
Oh,
find them like, "You won't believe it, Grandpa's not in here." You know,
that's
so it
cool.
just
He
makes you
came to
wonder.
say goodbye.
Exactly. It just makes you wonder, do some of these ghosts have strong enough powers to come back to finish something? It seems like some of them want to linger around because
Yes,
I don't know if it's because they're jealous that they died, or they don't know if they are dead, or they wanted to finish something before they had to leave, or um
right.
I
He
don't
had
know
a
if you
project to work on.
yeah, I don't know if you know much about stone tape theory.
Oh no, what's the so tell me about stone tape theory.
Oh, this is so cool and right up your alley.
Yeah, come
I
on.
never I recently heard about this, and it's this another paranormal investigator that I had on here told me about it. And it's about the theory of when a person dies, instead of the soul just lingering around, it like imprints itself
Ooh.
onto the wall. And if like say like years later, I just come to the room and happen to trigger that area, like a glimpse of what happened
Yeah.
last, or like just the last essence of that person is there to be seen or heard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of like just trapped in the walls basically. And I just love the word, the stone tape theory. It's just like
That's
the
neat.
even just kind of just sucked into the stone, and it's just kind of recorded,
Yeah.
like just little blips of stuff. I'm like,
Think
oh,
about
that's
it. That's
another.
why Europe's so haunted. Europe's got so much more history and so much absorbed in there, and they're more
Sure.
embracing of it as well. So if you feel more welcome, then you're probably willing to appear a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I'm pretty sure the UK has got a shit ton of haunted houses and streets and
Yes. Oh, they have tons of stuff on TikTok. Like they'll have me fully engaged. So that's my secret pleasure is that sometimes sneaking in on their investigations, watching what they're doing, and I'm like, wow, this is so cool. 'Cause especially when a ghost asks for a pint and I'm like, he still wants to drink. I'm like, that's what the heck? That's so cool. So I think it could be a lot of the stone tape theory, like you said. Usually I refer to those as similar as like residual hauntings, almost like things are captured in time and they replay.
yeah, yeah.
It's why it'll be routine. Somebody will say at 12:32, such and such happens, or at the
Yep.
moment they were killed, then the windows open or the shades start to move. I think that I've experienced the residual haunting thing myself. And of course, I'm like a little kid, flapping my arms, going, "Oh my God, that's so cool!" Because you're frozen in terror, but then excitement because you're seeing what they were doing every day. It's like watching an old movie, but it's
Yes.
right in front of you.
Yes.
Super cool. So maybe
And
that's what that was.
yes. And you know about the tag along ghosts that, if you go to these certain spots and you come back and bring one of these things home with you.
I have two in my house.
Oh, you
I
do
have
already.
two.
Well, I'm
I
pretty
have
sure you might have had a few of them.
probably
And
more.
yeah.
I
So,
have two.
well, speaking of which, when was the first investigation that you went on, like out
Oh
in the field?
man. First investigation. I think when I got seriously considering it, because I've gone on ghost tours, lots of
Yeah.
ghost tours. They hand you the sometimes K2 meters, they'll hand you ghost apps, different things, because it is entertaining. There are aspects. They're there to make money, but they're there to tell history. And if you have an experience, it's kind of a bonus. Like a lot
Mm,
of times, I think, see, I've gone on the New Orleans tours are my favorite. Oh my gosh, New Orleans just is brimming. I think being so close to the
yes.
ocean, it's
Hmm.
brimming with activity. But when I really got serious was the Old Town Spring Ghost Walk. And I started seeing things, and it was really, really, really apparent. And I went, usually you don't see a lot on ghost walks. And I went on another one just to kind of, check and verify. And there was something again, and eventually something that came home with me. It
Okay.
started to follow me home, and things would be happening. And I had to go to another psychic medium, because we can't read for ourselves very well. And this lady was like, "Oh, let me tell you, this is who's followed you. This is why." He goes, "You look like his dead wife." And I'm like, "Great." Like,
Of course you
I don't
would.
know. Like, of course. I'm like, "Really?" I was like, come on. But yeah, so
Um,
the ghost walks and going on the bigger tours is what got me more
okay.
serious about this is what an investigation looks like. Now, of course, like I said, some of it's entertainment value, but Old Town Spring Ghost Walk was legit.
That's awesome.
There was lots of people getting scratched, and it's the first time I
Mm.
got scratched.
Whoa.
I went, okay, I didn't run through bushes. I didn't brush up against anyone because I kind of kept my distance. I didn't want anybody's energy. And sure
Sure.
enough, when I was filming, you could see an orb following behind me. So
Whoa.
a lot of people see bugs, dust. I
Sure.
say start filming a place that's dusty and you'll see the difference. Start filming where you see bugs so that you can dispel
Sure.
those from something
Yes.
that could be legitimate. Like, don't
Right.
just go every little thing you see is a bug. Me and my husband argue that to death. He'll go, that's a bug. And I'll be like, that's a ghost. And he's like, really?
Yeah. No, seriously. Well, you go to a lot of women who are paranormal investigators go to these spots where like women are not really supposed to be that are haunted, like maybe an
Right.
old haunted military ship or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Or like I heard one woman tell me a story where she was investigating and she felt like she got kicked in the back.
Ooh, that's
Right?
violent.
Right. It's like because there's a certain area where women were supposed to not ever be.
Oh,
You know.
see, that energy's still there, that
Mhm.
hyped up testosterone, even in the
Yes.
afterlife.
Yeah. No, it makes you wonder what impels the ghost to. I mean, again, maybe it could just be this like this cycle of the loop of their last moments there, or just the energy they
100%.
would bring. Yeah, it's just gnarly.
Oh,
We have a
yeah.
place here in Madison called the Ohio, and
Oh, okay.
this place has UFO. I'm sorry, ghost investigators.
You're like, man, I do UFOs here.
Yeah, sorry. UFO is always on my mind.
Switching the gears.
Switching the gears. Sorry. No, so ghost investigators, that like TV series and stuff like actually come there and do investigations. And been this building has been around since like the late 1800s,
Nice.
and there's been bizarre suicides there,
Ooh.
and there's been weird fire happenings, and then
Oh my goodness.
there's a bar there, so there's bar stools that be flipped, and then there's
Ooh, that's
bottles
strong.
being tossed off the shelves. I'm like, what is this?
Wow.
And yeah, so it's kind of freaky, and then they actually put like weird chopped off doll heads around. I don't know if they're trying to boost the energy of
Yeah.
craziness in there or something. I have no
No
idea, but
kidding.
it's just
I'm like,
like,
that's a bit much.
yeah, a little bit. But it's so all the ghost hunters who come through Madison like to stop at that spot and
I
do
would
their little
too.
investigation.
That's already, I'm sitting there thinking like, check that and put that on my list.
So, what's the furthest you've been traveling to go investigate some of these places?
We've generally done Texas. I mean, I've traveled different places. I went to the Arlington, and I'm trying to think where exactly that was. Let's see. I think that was not Mississippi. Let's see. It's a little bit outside of Texas. We traveled to the Arlington, but it wasn't official. It was just us exploring because I like to, it's kind of a bonus when we go on family vacation to pick a haunted place to check out.
Oh,
So
cool.
went with my daughter, with my husband. She loves this stuff too. So she's like, I could see her coming on the show one day because she really, she's also got gifts and abilities.
Oh,
So she can tell me what she sees, which might even be different than me, but it does, you put the energies together and she sees stuff. So the Arlington was really neat. For official for the show was Strone, Texas. And that was, we had to stay the night in a funeral home. And I'm
oh,
like,
cool.
oh, I never thought. I was like, 10
Trippy.
years ago, you would not, you couldn't have paid me to stay
Yeah.
in a funeral home. I
No,
went,
me either.
I loved it. I
Did
loved
you?
it.
Okay.
I did, but they redid it like a mansion because they actually
Oh,
lived in it first and they restored it to how it looked when it was a mansion. And it was the second I got there, it was boom, boom, boom. And I was like, oh my gosh, like there, it was pretty heavy activity.
that's so crazy.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah. At least I got to sleep in a bed that night. I've slept in haunted jails. I've slept with spiders dangling above my head. Like that's when people say they look at us and they go, "Oh, they're probably so scared," and they probably have little hotels. It's like, no, we slept in jail cells. We've done the dirty work.
Yeah.
We have passed out on couches that, rats slept in. I mean,
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I like the people who are out in the field. That's the shit. So again, and you have
That's
your own
right.
show too. Again, you prove yourself with a camera, like, hey, I'm out here.
Oh yeah. Like
You
it's
know,
what you see is what you really get. That's what I like is because they underestimate us, and that's what I want. I want people
I
to go,
love it.
there's no way she's probably fixing her makeup. And it's like, well, yeah, we fix our makeup for the camera, but there's probably something standing behind us. And like we run, we scream, but generally not. We generally run towards it. We're trying to,
Sure.
uncover things. We're doing the work. So
Yeah.
we might fix our hair and makeup, but we're doing the work.
That's so cool. And the fact that your daughter is going to follow in your footsteps, and then the
I
fact that your
hope so.
husband is well involved in what you're doing in this program. Does he go out and investigate too with you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He is the man that's behind the camera, behind the sound, behind all this. And we have friends that jump in as well. Like we had Todd from SPI jumped in to
Oh,
help us
cool.
with sound. And we've had, Christel Castillo and we've had Leslie and David Torres. So everybody's kind of all hands on deck jumping in to help us film or do sound, whatever we need, because otherwise, James, my husband, he was duct taping things to his side with boom mics, and then here's the camera here, and we're just
uh,
hoping we catch something at that
uh,
point.
that is awesome. And it shows how
He
much
does.
he loves you too. That's so
Oh,
dope.
yes, because I will be honest with you, he's not big into the paranormal. He's
Really?
actually more into like with UFO and that kind of stuff. That
Well, you should
fascinates
talk to me
him.
then.
See, that fascinates him way more. He goes, well, this has been documented. He goes, this,
That's true.
I'm not sure. Now he's seen things he can't explain. He'll tell you that for sure.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And no, I was gonna say too, up north we have a bunch of like Indian mounds too. I
Oh,
think there are like
yes.
another big hot spots. There's a place called Ass to Land here in Wisconsin that has the land pyramids that they thought that even the Aztec or the Mayan might have came up here. And
Really?
yeah, they don't teach this shit in high school.
I
And I was
know.
so pissed. And to be an adult to find this shit out myself.
Right. We have to do the research.
But this place is pretty gnarly. It has so much mystery still. I think the UW here still does digs there, digging up bones and pottery and stuff at this place.
Whoa. Fascinating.
They have like a little museum, and I think they found elongated skulls. And the most mysterious part about it,
What?
the fact that these people came from afar, the Native Americans in the area said that these people just came from God knows where.
Yeah.
And they set up
Right.
shop and they built these pyramids with a gigantic wall around this town, little village they made with pyramids in the middle.
Interesting.
And then they would wage war with other Indians. They would practice cannibalism. But the most
Ooh,
mysterious part about it was they just dropped everything and disappeared with like no trace. There's no signs
really?
of war. There's no sign of sickness.
They're
There's
just
plenty
gone.
of food. Yeah, just dropped everything, just bounced. So
Whoa.
that's why this maybe they didn't teach it in high school because they didn't know much about it. You know?
Right. Always afraid to do that. Well, yeah, I think that honestly, just to be honest and real out there and no agendas or anything behind it, but I think we've been taught a distorted form of history because of the lack of knowledge we've always had. And it's easier to just copy, paste, print, teach, copy, paste, print,
Yes.
teach. And then with the internet, then suddenly we had access to documentation. We had access to communicate amongst each other. So our knowledge has really broadened over the years. Like I said, with UFOs, they would look at you like you were crazy back in the day. If you even saw one or talked about one, it was
True.
always like, I wonder why, he's talking about that. Maybe something's wrong. And now it's accepted by the military who has admitted that these things exist. So,
Yes.
in school, I think it's a good way to start with the basics, but once you grow up, do your research, find out, fact from fiction, and then explore for yourself.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, maybe your husband would love this story. There's an awesome story here in Wisconsin that happened in 1961 with Joe Simonton up in Eagle River, Wisconsin. He was sitting in his kitchen eating breakfast, and he just happened to look out his window, and this silver disc comes floating down like an elevator
Whoa.
and lands on his driveway. And he's like, "What the fuck?" He runs
Right?
out, and then this latch opens up and a man pops out, a human man, about 5 foot tall, and wearing a
What?
tight blue jumpsuit. And
That's weird.
he had like Italian, he looked Italian because he had like olive skin, and he
Yeah.
had an empty jug and he was motioning for a drink. He's like, "Do you want water?" He's trying to get a
Wow.
conversation going with this ET, but he wasn't saying anything. But he had
Right.
penetrating eyes. And Joe just couldn't really look at him straight in the face. So
Did
he
he look
grabbed
like
the
a human though? He looked like a
yeah,
human?
dead like just like yeah, just he could have walked
Oh,
amongst us and he would have never noticed. But he was wearing a tight blue
gosh.
jumpsuit, right? So Joe grabs some water and comes back, and he noticed there was two other guys in the craft that were over this
Whoa.
flat, flameless grill that were cooking like looked like pancakes. And for the
What?
exchange of water, he gives the guy the water back, and the other guy turns
Wow.
around and gives him four pancakes. And he's like, "What is this? Do you want me to eat this?" And he's tries to try to get a
Right?
conversation going, but nothing's happening. And then he like takes a bite of one of them, and I guess it tastes like a piece of cardboard. He said,
Oh, so you needed to teach them how to make pancakes. That's what it was.
Check
They
it
were
out. Check this.
asking for instructions. They're like, what are the instructions on this? Do you have buttermilk? He wanted buttermilk, not
Yeah.
water.
So yeah, the ET jumps back into the craft and it just closes where you couldn't see the door where opened up for the first place, and it like tilted and it shot like a fucking bullet up into the
What?
sky and just disappeared. And he's just sitting there with a handful of
What?
greasy pancakes. Like, what
Oh
the
my
fuck?
God.
So enough
What a
where
missed opportunity to teach them how to make pancakes.
but check this out. This is more of a kicker here. So like he calls the authorities and the cops come over, he tells his story. He had actually other people actually called the cops witnessing a UFO and they around the
Whoa.
area. And then he had these pancakes tested by scientists. So they found out they were regular buckwheat pancakes, but
No.
did not have any trace of salt. And that's impossible
For
because
shame.
everything organic on Earth has a trace of salt because of the oceans. So
Interesting.
makes you think these are made off planet. And if you think
See?
about how do you think communion got started? Huh? Look at that.
Wow.
Well, bam.
Yes. Bam. Bam.
No,
See, there's so much.
I just love the physical evidence in these stories. He actually wrote a
Me
book
too.
too about it. Um, yeah, again, I feel like the Earth is the Disneyland of the galaxy with all the ghosts, Bigfoot, and UFOs
True.
we have here. So,
That's got to be true.
yeah,
I
what the
I
fuck?
believe that. I believe we're a destination. I'm just sitting there thinking about these guys coming out. Crazy enough, there was an episode of the Beverly Hillbillies, and I know there's a lot of people watching this probably go, "What show is that?" I'm sure, but it was where, of course, the hillbillies are living in Beverly Hills, and these Italian men were filming for a UFO project that was supposed to be a media gathering. So to where they were passing out flyers. So they had a spaceship just like that. And they were, Italians were generally shorter.
Yeah.
So they were smaller and shorter. And then they're like, oh my God, these little green men. And they said, and they kept coming in and going, ciao, ciao. And they're like, what language are they speaking? They're like, and Granny goes and shoots their UFO
Oh shit.
and it blows and it just the air gets let out of it. And that makes me think of that to where she goes, I guess I'll feed them. They come in her kitchen, she's feeding
Yeah,
them. They're like, chow chow.
that's amazing.
But see, science behind these stories is
Yes.
what you can't dispel science. You can dispel experiences and say maybe my experience was different. But you can't say with when something is tested by science that, we can just say we don't have that information yet.
Yes. And again, there's just a lot of awesome cases. Even like I don't know, like Emily Rose. Didn't she die of her exorcism?
Yes, there's a lot behind.
Yeah, that,
There's
that
so
case is
much
pretty
controversy with
wild.
that one.
Have you heard some of the recordings of that and how her voice is just, this like
Yes,
sounds so monstrous and so out of this world. And then she starts speaking Latin and stuff like that.
right.
So yeah, do you think there's an evil aspect to the ghosts and spirituality, or there's so many people who are
Yeah,
like, no, there's no evil. There's all light and that's all.
really.
Yeah. No, I
I
mean,
always say come with me a couple of times. I
yeah, as I
I
say, you
kind
got
of
bite marks and
yeah. It's like that
where did I
doesn't
get
sound
this hickey
fun,
from?
right? Freaky ghosts.
Yeah, right.
Well, I've experienced some of the dark side of it. I think that the entire universe is balanced with like, I old philosophy here, yin and yang. So
Yes.
if you believe in angels, you need to believe in devils. If you believe in good, you need to believe in bad. You can call it what you want. You can give it any name that you want. You can put religion behind it. You can take religion away from it. But there are so many things that there can't be this many people under the same collective delusion. Now, collective delusion exists, but there are people who have had no exposure to some of these delusionary things, as we call them, and they're having the same recorded experience. Just like with her, I'm sure there wasn't, a whole lot of, she wasn't just studying Latin and decided to put
Yeah.
herself through that. There are
No.
aspects that we can't explain from it. Of course, you have to rule out mental illness, you have to rule
Sure.
out things with the brain. But I read a story that definitely lended more to the side of exorcisms 100% being real. Like, I believe in them fully. The stuff I've
Yeah.
seen, I can't explain other than there's something dark. There was a little boy that he ended up having all these things and these issues, and the mother took him for a brain scan. It's like they said, you got to get him to a doctor. He's hearing voices. He's having these things. And they recorded in the hospital from nurses that he climbed the wall. Now,
Whoa.
there's no explanation for that. Let's say he studied Latin, he's speaking Latin, doing these things. Like, there's nothing that made him Spider-Man overnight. So, I
No.
mean, otherwise we'd all be doing that because that would be cool. So,
Yeah.
and he's a little boy. So, like I said, people can be influenced by television, different things. And I've been studying exorcisms this past year, trying to learn because I want to know the science behind it. I want to know the hokum behind it, and I want to know the in between. What are we learning? Because
Sure.
I truly believe in that stuff. It scares me.
Yes.
That part scares me. It scares
Yes.
me. I
No,
won't
and
lie.
I totally believe that too. It's especially being it worldwide, especially like the Middle Eastern countries that talk about the jinn that take over people's bodies
Ooh,
and stuff like that and do evil shit and
yeah.
trickery and stuff like that.
Did you ever see Wishmaster?
Ah, no, I haven't.
Okay, for fun, if you're
Okay.
bored. The first one is supposed to be scary. They get really dumb as you go along, but you can't stop watching because they're so dumb. But
Okay.
the first two, actually, that's where I learned about genies and jinn and how they were
Uh,
actually they were the bad guys. They were
yeah.
considered kind of demons. But
Yeah.
it's just different cultures have different names for these things. And
Yes.
if all these overlapping cultures have different names for it, it seems like there's something to it.
Yeah. Well, here's another interesting. I had a guest on here that was born in Iceland and
Oh,
I didn't
neat.
know much about Iceland until she just blew my mind. More than half the population of Iceland believe that there's an elves that actually live interdimensionally on the sides and outskirts of Iceland.
Whoa.
And that they actually have been a long history of interacting with humans. And they're humans themselves, but they, come from a different world that's
Yeah.
parallel to ours. And then I guess the government takes this dead seriously enough where they
Wow.
won't build any roads without the permission of the elves. And the elves will
What?
respond. I'm
No
not
way.
shitting you. Someone like has to write a note and put it near a rock and
And then
like
what do they
wait to
write
hear a
back?
response. Yeah. And seriously, and if
No.
like they don't hear a response back or if they said fuck the elves or whatever and start making
Right.
the
Fuck the
roads,
hell.
some people start getting sick and die. Machinery will break down and other rocks will
That's
be moved
crazy.
and like other stuff like that because they're
Wow.
sacred and they're even like they tell the people from out of town if you throw rocks then not to throw rocks because you might hit some elf in the interdimensional and they'll kidnap you and tie you
Wow.
to a tree and then they throw
They'll
rocks at
kidnap
your
you?
ass.
Oh my
Yeah, that's why
God.
I heard some shit and I was like what
That's epic.
and even they had sexual relationships with some of these elf people
Oh
too
my
where some of
Lord.
these people just straight up would disappear and never come back after
No.
intermingling with some of these people.
Then they
And
got they come back on Jerry Springer and back on Maury Povich. You are not the father.
yeah, no, but this woman's so dead serious too.
Like, this
Like
is for real. Like,
it's for
no
real. And
way.
the government is so dead serious about it. And then the fact that they consult the elves before they even do projects on the island.
I think
What?
that's neat though. I really like
That's
that. I like
awesome,
that they're
right?
embracing other ideals and different things. Like, to them that's normal and to us, that's weird or
Exactly.
different, but there's so many different cultures with so like you got to be open-minded in this world. If you're into the world of anything with paranormal, UFO, cryptids, different things, you got to at least be open-minded. Like me, it sounds funny, but it's like what if that's all 100% real because they have these deaths and different things. You can't, they're not going and murdering people, I don't think. So
Mhm.
there's probably a lot more to it. That would be really neat to study that.
Yeah. And there's a theory too that like the ET presence on Earth is because that we have these souls and these souls that reincarnate, and it's just kind of I if you're
Whoa.
an outside source coming into a planet, seeing these beings having souls that reincarnate, I think that'd be like very interesting.
Yeah.
So again, I think there's a theory out there with whistleblowers
Yeah.
from Lyndon Moulton Howell is another UFO researcher that's been
Nice.
working with some of these whistleblowers. Yeah, they talk about that these ETs are coming here to harvest our souls because they don't have
Whoa.
souls themselves. Because a lot of
That's on a
the
different level.
descriptions of ETs are very expressionless and very robotic. You know what I'm saying? And
What?
then yeah, so they kind of have these human experiences. That's why some of them do live amongst us, knowing that they have these souls and bodies that they harvested. I had no idea. So they're harvesting it from the
Whoa.
moon. So like the moon is this kind of like beacon to have our souls kind of sucked up to this moon.
Holy
I
crap.
really hope
That's
that's
on
not
a
the
different
case.
level there.
Yeah, I mean
Holy
it kind of sounds like hell.
right.
you know?
Wait, I thought this was hell. I thought this was
yeah,
hell and
this
we're
yeah,
trying to
this
get
like
out.
yeah, exactly. No, it
So I
makes
have
you
a
wonder.
story for you about that. Like,
Yeah, please.
speaking of aliens, because now, like I said, I am always a heavy skeptic. I lean towards science first, and even with the paranormal, I always say open minded though,
Sure.
because science is basically, if you're not open minded in science, then you're not a real scientist.
Hmm.
You can only say these theories have been proven, but you have to be open to one day those theories being disproven. You have to be open to things could change, or because we're just now learning. Imagine back then trying to explain about atoms and molecules, they back in the day, back
Yeah.
then if you had a headache, they're drilling in your head,
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and to them, that was science back then. So think about now. So I had an experience with what I believe to be an alien, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, all right. Let's hear it.
Oh, yeah, a real one. So, speaking of Iceland and how they say with different cultures, a lot of things that I've seen that back kind of some of these theories are being the blonde hair, blue eyes, they don't blink, and very light skinned.
Hmm.
And I don't know what there is to that, but I'm seeing that being reported over and over.
Yeah.
So, fast forward, my husband and I are at a networking luncheon. We're meeting people going left and right. Hi, how you doing? I sit down and turn. I'm talking to this gentleman here about business, and I feel a presence behind me. Now, I'm very good about sensing things being a medium, anyways. I'm an empath. I sense things, I sense people, and it's a different vibration. Like it's not, it's enough that makes me do this. And the guy's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm fine." And this woman touches me, and then she looks at me without blinking. No blinking. No
Oh,
blinking. Extended period of eyes wide open, just like this. Here's your screenshot.
whoa.
Eyes wide open, beautiful blue eyes. And she touches my shoulder and she goes, "Well, you're an interesting human."
Whoa.
And I went, "That's an odd thing to say to someone. Not
Sure.
like you're an
Sure.
interesting person. You're an
Right.
interesting girl. You're an interesting lady. You're an interesting human." And then
Huh.
she still doesn't blink,
Well,
turns, and her walking pattern is even very strange. It's not human like. It's almost like a person imitating a human or learning to use a human body. And I am frozen going, "That was weird, but come on, an alien. Why would you even think that?" The gentleman turns around to me. He goes, "Was that lady an alien?" And I went, "No freaking way." And I went, and another lady, she's doing the same thing. She goes, "Did she seem like an alien to you?" So everyone is getting a collective vibe that that was not a human being. So it's not just me with a distorted perception or that she was off. Everyone was sitting there going, "That was an alien." Like for sure. And none of us know how we know, but and I went, "Oh my gosh." So I go home and I'm Googling blonde hair, blue eyes, pale
yes. Yeah.
skin. I'm going trying to, figure out all this. And it seems to be common that
Yes.
a lot of people, like you said, up in Norway, up in Iceland, up in
Yeah.
different places, taking on that form. So what if they are
Yeah.
taking on souls or in the human forms? Like, I don't know. Like, I would love to learn more about that.
Well, speaking of which, here's a photograph that was taken by Howard Manger back in 1950s. And this is an ET woman that he ran into and
Oh,
had some interesting. encounters with, but she has very
What?
distinct looks and tear ducts. Like her tear ducts are
Yeah.
huge, and her
Well,
eyelashes are super long. And then she has this kind of like bone bridge above her
yeah.
nose that's actually it comes out a little bit, it sticks out.
Wow. Check that out. That's a little different.
Yeah, right. So yeah, after this photo was shortly taken, she like ran into a UFO and just dipped off.
No way.
Yeah,
He's like, bye. Peace out.
yeah.
Gone.
And then the case of Billy Meyer in Switzerland. He's famous for the blonde hair, blue eyed ETs that interact with him. And these are some of the photographs that I actually
Wow.
own from Colonel Wendell
Oh.
Stevens. So this is actually two housewives in Mexico. I don't know exactly where, but again, this
Oh,
thing,
wow.
this state it came up to them.
That's
Very
super
clear,
clear.
right?
Yeah.
And these are some other series of photographs that I have for the F-117 stealth fighter with the flying saucer in Pensacola, Florida, December 1994.
Oh, I used to
Well,
live in Pensacola. That doesn't
yeah,
surprise me that they'd be in Pensacola for
yeah.
the Air Force Base over there.
But the fact that these are a series of 12 photographs of this
Whoa.
F-117 coming swooping in on it.
That's how I say it's legit. If you see the fighter jets around them, you know that
Yeah.
the government's interested too. It's like you might want to start taking pictures or film it if you can capture it. There's been a lot in California too. California's been a real big one. I don't know what their interest is in California, but I wonder if it's because it's near the ocean.
Yeah.
So probably all they see Pensacola near the ocean. They probably like places that are, I've heard of sailors and different people reporting from the military of things coming out of the water.
Yes. Yes.
So
Like
I'm wondering if
the
it's
latest
something else.
TikTok with the Tic Tac. Sorry, TikTok. Tic Tac UFO.
Tic Tac.
Tic Tac.
It's a different.
Damn
Now you got to start
TikTok.
that whole network. Tic Tac.
Tic Tac. But no, yeah, the famous Tic Tac that came out of the water, the two pilots that actually saw it and actually try to intervene with it, and then like the fact that when the pilots went down to go closer to it, the UFO kind of like pointed itself at it, and then it's
Oh
kept an
yeah.
eye on them.
See?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just the intelligence on it. But yeah, and it makes more sense that there being alien bases on the bottom of the oceans since the dawn
Hmm.
of time, just doing experiments and having us on land, or
Exactly.
or it could be a hollow earth too.
That's
There's
why I think that
stories.
our DNA is similar to theirs. I think that
Mhm.
basically, like, I mean, my theory from what I figured was that whenever we had dinosaurs, we had different things. And then with the meteor showers and things that, took out the earth with asteroids, all this kind of things,
Mhm.
that there was probably DNA from other places that collected. And
Yes.
then those societies were probably destroyed. So you've got, pieces of them. And then we start to evolve from the land here because it mimics a lot of the places they are there.
You are talking about panspermia, and
Yeah.
that's a theory that too is brought to where the octopus came about is an asteroid because they're scientists that believe
That's
that
neat.
an
I
asteroid
believe it.
brought the octopus because there's no fossil records and there's no other close related thing to it.
What?
And then
That's
and you're very right about even us being maybe we are the ancient astronauts that came here, even on an asteroid or even a crashed UFO billions of billions of years ago that we
yep.
just had to like fight each other because some dumbass crash landed here and we lost
Right.
all our technology, so we had to start from scratch, sticks and stones. But no, like again, just a lot of stuff doesn't add up too with like a lot of ancient buildings, like stuff at Baalbek and of course the pyramids and stuff in South America. Again, what healthy slave are you whipping on the back to move 80 tons across different
Right.
terrains and miles away? And like again, the planning, the if you
They
mess up
didn't
a
think
little,
of that. There's
again,
no
if you
way.
mess up a little bit on the bottom of the pyramid, it's gonna be all fucked up when you end up on the top. So everything,
Exactly.
like
We
everything
weren't
was just
advanced
pristine.
enough for those things back then. There's no way. But like I
No,
said,
but
the
again,
pyramids prove it.
no, at the same time, they stencil into the walls that the
Right?
gods are working side by side with them.
Yeah. See, wasn't
But
there
no one,
documentation of there were bigger
that's
people back then?
mythology.
See, of technology. See, like I said, there was that guy that who was the one, I think it was in Florida, that he had created this whole place out of stone
Yes,
using magnets. And then I was like, where did he learn that? And I was like,
that's Stone Castle.
Oh, I didn't get to go
Or
visit it
Coral. It's
either.
Coral Castle. I'm sorry, Coral Castle.
I
Yeah,
didn't
it's an
get to go visit.
yeah, it is like an old man back in the 1950s, scrawny old dude that
Hmm.
found the technology of the Egyptians. And he even wrote a book about it, about like how he like found that magnetism and like sound. Cause he had this like this little easy pulley, but he had a
Hmm.
mysterious box on top of it. That might have been some kind
See,
of technology to make these things feather weight, basically. So you see
exactly.
this old little scrawny dude like moving 100-ton boulders.
Exactly.
Uh,
That's been
again,
one of my favorite mysteries. I love it.
yes, but again, with giving the credit to the Egyptians, not just
Hmm.
like, oh, I just figure out the mathematical. Blah, 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 blah.
No,
no,
no.
no, that's really cool. And he built that place because he was trying to impress a old lover, apparently, that never came to be either. So it's even
Isn't
it
that
has like a
sad? He
heartbreaking
literally,
story at the end of it. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this dude
how much love
broke
is
his
that
back.
that you researched ancient stuff? Like I uncovered ancient mysteries to show you how much I love you. And she's like, nah, I'm gonna go with this person. Like
Yeah.
this guy that's got a credit score of 250. And it's like, oh, back then probably didn't matter.
Yeah, that's
I was
like
just like, wow.
he's into cryptocurrency.
Right, it's into crypto. He's into crypto. Oh my God. Oh
Uh,
man. That's sad. Sad, but so interesting at the same time because we haven't
isn't
figured
it?
that either. It's the same
Mhm.
as I think it's like they've got so many mysteries with, like I said, you Aztec pyramids, you got Egyptian
Yes.
pyramids, and like I said, there was a friend of mine that actually visited Egypt, and he said the things he was sensing and experiencing there as far as spirits and things, like wow. Like I want to see the spirit of an alien. Like if
Oh,
aliens
right.
were here and if they passed away here, couldn't they present themselves the same way?
Yeah, you'd think so.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that
or at
would be
least has some
neat.
technology to do that.
Heck yeah. There's so much to uncover.
Yeah, no, and then just the moon itself too is just mysterious. Like again, how it's set in our orbit. It's like, especially when the scientific form of how the moon came to be is like an asteroid hit the Earth and then it like
Right.
kind of spun around and it kind of collected together to make a ball. But that's where the moon sits in orbit is like a zillion to one that naturally happened, where it can cover the sun perfectly.
Exactly.
And then, like
See?
the fact
See? It's meant
and
to
the fact
be.
that like where it sits too affects the ocean tides and other things that happen on Earth. So
Right.
if it was a little bit further away, if it was like closer, a lot of things would have been more fucked up on Earth. So like
Right.
it's the perfect. And then there's even ancient cultures that talk about that one day the moon was towed in, so it was just there one
What?
day. Right? It's just that's even more
That's neat.
mysterious.
See? And there's so much, like I said, we'll uncover so much as time goes on. I think, like I said, I think the government's researching a lot of this stuff, but they just don't let it out there and they don't tell us things. They're just now starting to open up about things that were considered hokum back then. So, like I said, they kept aliens from us. And now that we know that that's true, what else is behind the veil? What else are we going to learn? Like, I
Sure.
wonder if the presidents can all learn about this stuff. Like, I wonder if, like, the second you become president, you're like, oh, let me see that file. I was like,
Yeah.
can you do
I
that?
think I think they're picky, choosy, and who, because you're only in there for 4 years.
That's
You know what
true.
I'm saying? So I don't know. You really have
That
to
would
have
be
some
neat, though.
ties with
That'd be
the
my first
Illuminati or
task.
something.
That'd be my first task. I'd be like, all right, let me see that document. They're like, you just started. They're like, I don't care. Let me see that document.
Yeah. So again, it all steers down to like the mystery of death and too. So like again,
Mhm.
paranormal comes into play. Like, are we going to be in this loop on Earth? Do we get to
Right?
choose what we get to do? Do we get to choose to reincarnate? Do we get to choose to travel the stars for all eternity? So I feel like
That'd be
that would be a
cool.
nice choice
Heck
to
yeah.
see what other planets are up to, and like what they're
That'd be
doing
neat.
and what other civilizations, and maybe if I can interact with them because they're
Yeah.
so highly intelligent that way too, where they can like just pick up spirits and like again maybe more of a mediumship that way too.
Yeah.
So, what was the most wild medium hit that you ever had?
Oh man, that's a really good one. I did have an experience that was unexpected, and it was while we were filming, but it was not on camera because the people that approached me had nothing to do with the show. We were filming at Demon's Road. That was our season finale for season one.
Oh,
And, going into the cemetery, it's almost like you said, Disneyland for the paranormal, because people are like, I'm going to go there and experience something. And you've got people doing seances, sacrifices, and, people are just, you're young, you're having a good time. A group of teenagers or young adults had run into the cemetery, and then everyone on set is pretty pissed. I don't blame them because it's like 1 or 2 in the morning. We're tired. We're like, now we can't film, but it's public property, so we also can't tell them to leave.
yeah.
So they go in, they do their thing, and there's maybe 10 to 15 of us, maybe more. I can't remember how many was all there gathered, and they all run up to me of all the people, me, and they go, "You're a medium, right?" Now the show hasn't debuted. They don't know who I
Whoa,
am. Like that would
whoa,
be a really weird fluke at that point with the amount
sure.
of followers we had if they had recognized me. They had no idea who I was. They just grabbed me. And me, I am really not big on being grabbed because I can
Oh
sense
yeah,
things when you touch me. And I'm like, oh, you might, it's like that. And plus, germs. So
yeah.
but they grab me, and then I'm sensing things left and right, and it's freezing cold. And one of the girls was just like very darkness around her. And it wasn't that she was dark, but she was experiencing really bad things. So when she grabbed me, I started to see what happened to her, and it was horrible, horrible, horrible.
Mm,
And I told her, I was like, look, 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 look. I was like, and this other girl goes, what is this happening? Who is saying this? And they're all, and I was like, okay, one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. So I start with one girl, and she says, okay, can you contact my grandmother? And this is not something I normally do. Like, I
mhm.
mean, being a medium, I don't have an office. I don't have to where I'm having people, pay for a service, or I
Sure.
don't have a table doing this. This is just
Hmm.
something, if I know you and it comes across, I'll tell you.
Sure.
So it just happened. And suddenly, this woman, I guess she was very clear on coming through. And it's like someone is looking out through your eyes. That's the only way I can explain it. You're there, but you're not in control fully. And this woman, I felt taller. I felt broader. My body had felt different, and my voice
Mm.
was different. Now, all I can remember was hearing this woman say, I see you crying at night. You need to stop that. You need to stop that. And I guess I was talking like she was. And I said, you need to cut that out. And I said, well, what are you crying for? And I said, what I tell you? And it's like, I'm good. Grandma's good. And I said, oh, it's a different dialect, different,
Sure.
everything's different. And so suddenly then I was like, oh, come on, give grandma a hug. And I'm hugging her. It's so weird. And I release, and we're both crying. And
Oh,
I was like, great, I gotta be on camera. I'm over here crying.
oh
This
shit.
this girl, and I was like, I guess you needed a hug from your grandma. And she goes, that was my grandma. That wasn't you. And I said, I know. I know. I was like, very strange. I said, I
That is
felt tall for
strange.
a minute. I'm 5'2", by the way. So for me to feel tall, but that was the experience.
Wow.
And then it was another woman had come through, and it was back to back, because once you're open.
Mhm.
And she it was, I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but it was something like Dante or something, not a common name, that, not like Tom or Joe or, Jimmy. It was like, and I said, and quit messing around with Dante. And I'm fussing at her, and they all scream and run to the car. And
Whoa.
her friend says, I told you to stop messing with him. And I went, what just happened? And everyone on the cast and crew was looking at me like, what the hell was that? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. I was like, this is not made up. I wasn't just trying to comfort her. I said, I didn't know what to do. It just happened. And
Wow.
luckily, one of the girls on set from Spring Paranormal Investigations, Lynette, is a medium. So she's a full trance medium. This is what she does. So she understood what had just happened. So
Whoa.
I was lucky to have support, because
Sure.
otherwise, I'm a little freaked out that I'm suddenly this really tall, broad
Yeah.
shouldered woman hugging, going, give grandma a hug. I'm like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah. No, it's so wild, right? Like
Wild. But
something like
that's,
to come through like that, to almost to harvest your body just for a second there, just to get that
yeah.
message out to her. That is so. insane.
So,
Because
so
we
you're not far off base with the aliens doing the same thing. If ghosts can do this, human spirits,
sure, sure,
what
sure,
capability do alien spirits have? I mean, you are not far off base. Like, I have never thought of it until this podcast, but now I'm going to be
sure.
thinking about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I just find that why wouldn't they find that interesting and like more to study than just like the nuts and bolts of what we are? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's something more to us. Obviously, we're just a vehicle
Hmm.
for the next step or the next. We don't know exactly, but again, I just hope for the
Right.
best.
Right. Exactly. I'm like, please, aliens, don't possess me. That's so weird.
I mean,
I
they could
love
be
it.
they could definitely be the blonde haired and blue eyed female ETs that they want to be when I die. I'd be, like,
Right.
it'd be heaven.
I wonder why they choose that form, though. I wonder if there's something to that of why they choose that form. Like, is
Well,
it
I
that
think that's
person
just
already
their
has those looks, or
we're
are
you know
they
what it's like from the Bible how they made us into the form of God and their image or what the hell. Yeah, it's just maybe
Whoa.
they've been seeding the stars in their image and using their DNA. That's why we have blonde hair, blue eyes on our planet.
Right.
Just
Mine is all dyed though. I'm a redhead.
yeah, cool.
Definitely a
No,
redhead if that
yeah.
personality didn't come through yet.
No, it's just it's a fucking big mystery, and I just love the fact that you can theorize and think more and just have conversations with people and hear their stories and hear their theories. It just makes life a little bit more fun and exciting, especially with
I
like
agree.
what the fuck is going on today. We got P Diddy.
Oh my God. No, we went there. Oh
Don't tell
my,
me you've been to a P Diddy party. You got the
oh
ghost of
my
this
God.
motherfucker.
Get out your baby oil.
Yeah, right.
Oh my, no tell.
Uh,
Now he doesn't seem human to me. I think there are
right.
people. I have theories about people that I say they're just not human.
Yeah,
And
sure.
like I don't think Elon Musk is human. I really like I've just sorry, Elon, if you're listening to this, like please don't sue me or anything. It's like I don't sue me. But no, I don't think Elon Musk is human. Now I know he has autism. My daughter has
Sure.
autism. Every form of autism is presents differently in different people.
Mhm.
With him though, there's just something different. I
Yes.
don't know what it is. There's still an off factor that autistic traits would not explain.
Yes.
And then the guy from Coldplay, like my husband thinks it's so funny. He goes, "Why do you keep saying that?" I said, "I'm telling you, that dude is either some kind of angel or something, or he's not human, or he's an alien. I can't explain it.
Yeah.
There's people that I can't explain that I've met. I
Oh
haven't met him
man.
yet, but I want to meet him."
Sure. But no, again, just with the P Diddy thing, it's just started a humongous domino effect with all these people who've been involved and these crazy fucked up parties. And I apparently just the other day they found tunnels underneath P. Diddy's house that lead to the Playboy
What?
Mansion and to other
See?
celebrities' houses. So they just meet up at a clubhouse down in the basement and they all just have this little fun orgy fucking people around the clock. And I don't know, like, how does people do
God.
that? I don't understand this like body parts start bleeding after a while. Like, like
Like that
how many
doesn't
dicks
sound
can you fit
fun.
into an asshole? I mean, like seriously.
Right. But if you think about it, stuff like that, big parties like that go back to like Greek times. The
Sure, sure,
Greeks, the
sure.
Greeks had this crazy stuff. They had underground tunnels. Like back then, there was probably a P. Diddy of that time. I just don't know who it was.
Yeah, right.
There probably was somebody back then because they really did. They had the same kind of, more open culture to do those type of things. They had they would say philosophers and boy lovers. So I mean, they had people who, they didn't use the term pedophile back then, but they
Oh
said
yeah.
they had all this stuff back then. Like this is not changing or
I
shocking.
know that. I know that.
Like
But
this
again, just
guy, he's something different though. People could sense it when they met him. You see videos now coming out of
yeah.
people that won't fully embrace him because they're like, and it had
Yes.
nothing to do with the homosexual factor whatsoever. It had to do with he was off, kind of like this alien lady that I met.
Yeah.
He was off. Like you get this vibe about people.
Well, Jay-Z's on the run now.
No
He's just
way.
disappeared, yeah. Just a few days
He
ago. Because
what?
now Diddy is dropping his name like fire.
That does not surprise me.
So yeah. So now Beyonce's all fucking crazy now too. Like, I'm gonna divorce his ass.
Oh,
But again, like she probably involved again, who knows? Like
who knows?
he's
Like
I don't know. Like it makes you wonder if he's gonna die in prison like an Epstein
Yeah.
type deal.
That's
Because
I think saw
I
the
feel like
God.
there's people who are gonna like want his ass to shut the fuck up because he's gonna be singing
Right.
like a canary. Let me tell you that.
Oh my God.
So I
There's
heard
just
he
no
offered like
telling.
$50 million to try to get out of prison. They said nope.
Oh my God. Oh, it's so crazy. The hip hop culture. I mean, once I had started doing some research back in the day, and they had been saying for years that Diddy had something to do with killing Pac. And I was like, there's so much to it because I was like,
Yes,
well, what about Suge Knight and who took the fall for this and who did that? And now it's like if you looked at LA, how corrupt the police force was back then,
sure,
the corruption
sure.
they exposed. Of course, who knows with Diddy's money? Because
He
I
was
wasn't he
paying cops
truly at
too.
his height back
Sure,
then?
sure.
So I'm sure he handed somebody some money to just not look
Because
at things.
again, this is again been known for years throughout the hip hop and the rock star and Hollywood star people. Again, this has been really hush hush. I guess because everybody's on tape, he had like tons of cameras within his mansion, or just everybody in there.
Oh,
So
yeah.
again, he's like, well, you know what? If you're coming,
You
you're
know,
coming
I had
with
those
me.
cameras. He wanted
Yeah.
to bribe people. He'd be like,
Yes.
"Don't say you weren't there. Here's the tape. Don't
Yep.
say that you weren't doing this. Here's the tape." So
Yep.
everybody who's running, he's got something on you. That's why a lot of people, Ice Cube said, I never showed up to one of those parties. Smart
Hell,
man. I was like,
hell
I would
yeah.
not either.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of people who stayed away from those parties. But again, just I think everybody's on their toes now who had been at those parties are like, oh fuck.
They better
Everybody's gonna put me in a different light. And what ghosts do you think are just like poking their nose in that party?
Yes. Can you imagine when they sell his
Was
house, the energy that's in there, the
Hugh
energy and the
Hugh
baby oil?
Hugh Hefner's up in there. He's like, damn, I
Yep,
haven't had
that's
these kind
I
of
could
parties.
see that. I wonder if Hugh haunts the mansion. He's got to. There's
Oh,
there's
why
no
wouldn't
way he
he?
doesn't haunt that mansion.
Sure, why wouldn't he?
No way he doesn't. That would be really interesting. I'd love to talk to some of the playmates and ask them if they think Hugh is still there. That was his comfort. That was his place. So why wouldn't he still
Yeah,
be there?
yeah, that's so funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I guess you haven't really tried to reach out to celebrities or any.
Um, yeah, we've had a few of we had the Kling brothers, we
Hmm.
had people from Ghost, yeah, they were from the Ghost Lab, and then we've had people from Ghost Hunters. So
Oh,
we've
cool.
had a few celebrities on our show, and
Oh, nice.
and we've had people we've talked to about taking the show a little bit bigger. So, one day we're hoping to, and I'm always scared because you hear these Hollywood stories. So, I mean, to be honest,
Sure.
it's like I would love to take this show as big as it can go, but I want to keep everything authentic. I want to keep everything
Yeah,
to where you don't do this fancy editing and then somebody looks stupid or,
sure,
I want
sure.
is, but you have to keep it entertaining. But I mean, nobody's ever accused me of not being entertaining. You could probably run the camera for hours and I'm doing something crazy.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you too. Could we talk a little bit more about your crew of girls that you have that work with you?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So we've got the original cast, which is Jenny and Anastasia. They were the inspiration for the show
Hmm.
because originally, now I wouldn't stay anywhere haunted. I was like this. I was like, nope, I want nothing to do with
You're a
this.
scaredy cat.
Nope. That's right. I was the scaredy cat. And these girls were in beautiful heels and dresses,
Mhm.
climbing in air vents to get to secret rooms. I mean, and I went, that's brave. And they had filmed things with their phone
Oh,
that
cool.
were like the little placards that the do not disturb signs were just doing this with no
Oh,
wind, no air vents. You go to the next one, it's not doing that. This one's doing it. Why is
oh,
that? They had doors flying open. So they were having paranormal experiences with no previous, nothing with the paranormal in their lives of doing investigations or
oh, cool.
not looking for it. And it came to them. And
Yeah.
I thought, I've never seen a show where the girls dress up and they look like the Selling Sunset girls and then they go ghost hunting. And I was like,
Yes.
this would be epic. No one's done it. So I
Yes.
want to do it. I want to try
Yes.
something different. I don't want to flip the channel, see the same thing, and not disparaging any of the other shows because
No.
those women are badasses.
Yes.
And I was like, can we be badasses but wear heels? I was like, can
Yes.
we do this? And we started doing it, and these girls were braver than anything I've ever seen. Like they don't care. They will go in the woods in the dark. They
Yeah.
they go through graveyards. We go and film when it's 19 degrees, freezing cold. and none of them complain. They don't sit there and go, "Oh, my hair, oh, my makeup." They don't do that. They're not divas. They're epic. So
That's
Jenny and
dope.
Anastasia were the first. And once I said, well, if these two girls are like that, could I find two more really, well, I'll just be blunt, bad bitches? Can I find two more bad
Yeah.
bitches? I was like,
Hell yeah.
yes. And sure enough, from Spring Paranormal Investigations, they recommended Lisa, who she plays in a band. She's a
Oh, cool.
badass. And I was like, she's in a band. It's like, yes, that's so cool. And she's gorgeous and she does real
Yeah.
estate. She just does everything.
Dope.
And then at the launch party, this beautiful girl, shows up, and all of the girls from the original cast go, we want her. It's like most women are like, oh, she's so pretty. Or, oh, girls can be catty. You've seen these shows
Sure.
on TV.
Sure. Yeah.
These girls are not like that. They see a pretty girl and they go, oh my God, they will run over and they will be like, oh my God, you're so pretty. What do you do with your hair? What do you do with your makeup? They're positive. And I said, I didn't know women could be like that. I had
Yeah.
never been around women who looked like putting all the hair and makeup and then supported the next person in hair and makeup. Usually it's
Yes.
a
That's how
catty environment.
yeah.
Just women are just like that. We're not trying to be. It's because of what we feel inside. So sure enough, I had my next two girls and they were just badasses.
That's so dope.
I loved it. And we all support each other, love each other. There's
Yeah.
not cat fighting.
That's
Like I said, my
awesome.
show would be more popular if there was, but I'm
Sure.
not going to fake drama for TV.
No.
If drama happened, I hope to capture it. I do not capitalize on any of that kind of stuff. It is a
No.
selling sunset vibe at first
Sure.
because you want to add that neat stuff to it. It's sex appeal. I mean, these women are
Yes.
gorgeous.
Yes. I was
Like,
going
all
to
right,
say, I love that you added sex appeal to it because, again, that's another route I feel like no one really goes down. And that's why I
they
kind of bring it to
don't.
my show too, where I'm for a little splash of sex appeal. And it's
There you go.
no one in the UFO community is doing that. And
That's true.
so take
See,
that.
because it's sexy. There you go. See, you got to be different or you're just going to blend in. Why blend in when you could stand out? So
Exactly.
we had our first hater from Spain the other day. And my
Sure.
first thought, instead of being mad, was, yes, we made it to Spain.
Yeah.
But she said it in Spanish. And of course, Spain Spanish is a little different dialect.
Sure.
Isa on our show, she speaks Spanish. So we were both watching. I understood 2/3 of it, but there were some words that were different. And she starts dying laughing. And she says, the woman said, what does true crime and ghost hunting? And she, of course, said, beauties. And I went, dang, we're ugly. Okay. I said, bellecitas. And I was like, oh, okay, we can't be beauties and do this. She goes, what does that have to do with lipstick? Because our logo is the lipstick. It's because
Mhm.
it's different.
It's
If you
different.
look in the paranormal world, what colors do you see? You scroll through, you see red, you see black, and you see green.
Yeah.
Sometimes purple, but that's all you see. And I was like, I'm going to be scrolling. They're going to look through paranormal stuff because they like it and they're going to see pink and stop.
Yeah.
If you stop for 1 second, we did it right.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why I do it.
And the fact that you have a unique set of girls that are just gorgeous and doing the paranormal and taking it seriously. It'd be different if you girls were just in the set like you're doing now and just talking UFOs. But you do,
Right.
I mean, not UFOs. I'm sorry, ghost.
Yes, you're back
Jesus
on
Christ.
UFOs. You're
Oh
like,
my
dang it,
God.
switching gears, switching gears.
Oh God. So yeah, talking ghost, you actually go out in the field and go and do your camera work out there. And yeah, that's where it's at. Like,
Heck yeah.
yeah,
People don't realize I'm sitting at home and I'm sitting with my husband and we're going through hours
hours of
of footage.
yeah.
And
And
sometimes
editing.
yes, oh, he is editing right now still just to try to do we got 4 episodes and then a fifth bonus episode. He's on the third one.
Wow.
And the fourth one, our season finale, is supposed to be big, but that's gonna be so much to go through. Like we listen to audio. We
Mhm.
make sure that there's stuff that we're seeing that's paranormal that we documented as paranormal. We're verifying, going, could that have been so and so? Like there's one scene to where we're looking through and I'm like, oh, I see something. And my husband goes, that was from MP Paranormal because they came on set with us and they were moving this way because look at the next shot. And then we're going, oh, good. Okay. So let's not mark that as paranormal. So
Yeah.
we're doing this for hours
Hours.
and hours
Yes.
debunking, demystifying, and then things that are for sure we can't explain, we're marking it down, and that's what goes on the show. So I'm like, so everything you see, we're not just getting stuff constantly. That's
No,
fake. We're sitting there forever, almost like this, like falling
no, you're
asleep.
right. A lot of people don't know what it takes to do all what we're doing as an independent uh, researcher and just podcaster. And just again, just like it takes a shit ton of time to do the booking. And
Yep.
then yeah, but sometimes I hate when people just can just easily throw it in your face. It's like, oh, you're fake, or like you're not even a real person. You're an AI image that I'm seeing right now. It's just like,
Oh
who
my
the
God.
fuck
You
are
have you been
you?
accused of being AI?
No, I'm just
I was
saying
like, what?
you have, I'm sure. And
I
there's
haven't.
guests that I've had or are gonna be on that people are accusing me of these are not real people. You're just, like no, like
What?
what are you talking about? Like I just happen
It's
to
not
ask
a
these
real
people.
person.
No, I
She's like,
ask
it's
these
not, it's an
people.
alien.
Yeah, it's an alien. So
Yep.
yeah, I think this world is just getting more twisted and twisted, especially with this AI. I think that's gonna be a problem.
Yes.
You know what I'm
That
saying?
has
People won't think that you're actually real. That's just another fucked up part.
that's the part that actually
Uh
is hurting ghost shows right now.
well, I was gonna ask you
The
too. I'm sorry, before
No,
we
go right ahead, go right ahead. You got this.
um um has there been a lot of turmoil and a lot of cesspool in the paranormal community against each other? I know maybe you haven't experienced much of it, or maybe have, but like
I was
I
like,
just know I talked to a few other paranormal investigators where just they had it up to here where they're just actually
yeah,
done. They're just like, you know what? It's not really worth doing this anymore because it's just the constant bickering. Someone's not doing this right. The
right.
filming is horrible, or look at she's just too damn sexy to be talking about this in general.
Like, isn't
Like,
that crazy that
yeah.
that is actually what we've come across as being the hitting the brick wall, so to speak, is
Yes.
that the TV, like I thought TV back then, you wanted the starlets and you wanted the, what do you call them, the good looking people. And now that, they say you can't do that. You're pretty, you're this, you're that. Like me, I'll be honest with you, what drew me to watching like reality TV, like for example, I liked Selling Sunset because there was these women that I said, there's no way they're that pretty. And then they have these $1 million homes, 2 million, 10 million that I will never step foot in. And I'm
Sure.
going, wow. So I'm watching this for the wow factor. And
Yeah.
I want people to meet me in person and to see that I really am a real person. I don't just sit and do my hair and
No.
makeup and all this stuff.
No.
It's really, it stands out in the paranormal field because a lot of these women, they have to film longer than we do. So they're filming for
True.
2 weeks. So
True.
you're not going to feel like every single day going into a basement that's dirty and nasty and fixing your hair and fixing your makeup and doing all this. So a lot of women in the paranormal are not doing that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like
No.
that's perfectly fine. I mean, almost every woman I've met in the paranormal field so far has been a badass. And
Yeah.
that to me, I've met some really beautiful women. I'm sitting there going, hey,
Yes.
if you ever want to come on my show, and they're like, I am not about to do all that. But that's what I've seen so far. And the animosity has not been towards us so
Good.
far. We usually have a lot of support from other teams. Just like, the
Sure.
Kling brothers when they came on, they met us in person the first
Sure.
time they met
Sure.
us.
Sure.
And they're
Sure.
like, great vibes. But we
Yeah.
haven't come across it personally, but I do hear about it from other people because it's competition.
Sure. Sure.
And there's always rumors of there's certain people knocking people off the air. So I don't know if you know that almost all the paranormal shows were wiped out.
Wow. I did not
There's
know that.
about, I think there's one left.
Wow.
And so everyone is, if you go look under Travel and Discovery Channel, people are begging for the shows to come back.
Sure.
But I
Sure.
think Travel and Discovery Channel are trying to see, oh yeah, you want it? Which one do you want then? I think that's what they're
Mm,
kind of doing. They're baiting people, which is smart, which is smart.
sure.
I have a marketing and media company. I know what they're doing. I'm like, you guys are smart. I love it. And it's like, hopefully they'll look at our show and take us on because we're different. It's not the same thing you see. We'd love to be
Oh,
given a chance to break that barrier. And like I said, if you like Selling Sunset and Desperate Housewives and all these things, give us a chance because you can still be just as devoted. Just because I fixed my hair and put on some makeup does not mean I'm not devoted to doing all the work. We do the
exactly.
work.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm kind of blessed too that I haven't really gotten too much backlash or anybody going at me about the way I present my material and how I just doing my edginess and stuff like that. And I'm glad it's same with you. It's not like
Yeah.
bombardment of people just like, fuck you, what are you doing with yourself? And like, it's like,
Right.
no,
I've
it's
had
like,
one
no, I
hater.
love like this. Let people do what the fuck they want to do. And like, if anything, I'm doing more of an entertainment aspect too. And you are
Yeah,
too. Like, it's more just if you're interested in ghosts and you love beautiful women, there you go.
exactly.
You can't
Combining
steer wrong.
both. Right.
Yeah,
I always
I
say if
find it
I
more.
trip and fall, I hope they capture it. That's all
Yeah,
I
right.
ask. If I trip and fall.
My titty came out. Oh my god.
It's like capture it, but please censor it.
Yeah, right.
I hope that would. Luckily, we film when it's cold, so we are actually usually wrapped up. I said if we ever ghost hunted in the summer and we were in bikinis, we'd probably get a lot higher rating.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Shit, I'll watch that.
See, that's it. See, we would have a whole audience for it. So I
Uh,
mean, who doesn't love it? Like I said, there's all different women on our show. There's not a one size fits all or one type fits all for the women on our show.
well, you
Everybody,
know what? And I'd love to have you back on with some of your girls,
yeah.
just to have this how they got into what they're doing and the fact they found you and love what they're doing with you and your project.
Oh, for sure.
I think it'd be awesome, man. I can even introduce you to. I have another co-host that joins me sometimes. She's in the paranormal. She's out
Nice.
out in California, and she's a medium too. And
Perfect.
she had one of our guests we had on. She was with us, and she had a hit where I guess her grandmother just died 2 weeks ago, and she didn't
Whoa.
tell us that, but she's like, "Hey, did you just have a grandmother that just died recently?" She's like, "Yeah, just 2 weeks ago." She's like, "Yeah." And she starts busting out names. I'm like, holy fuck. And
Whoa.
she
Right?
started to start crying. I started getting chills. I'm like, whoa. And she's just
Yeah.
there nonchalantly, like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I
I'm
love
like,
that. See,
shit.
I love that. That's really
Uh,
cool.
no, but no, I like to get other people in the field of the same subject, and then we just kind of just throw the shit and different
Oh
theories,
yeah.
network with each other, kind of share each other's fan bases.
Yeah.
Uh, I love doing that, so I like to bring people together. I've done this multiple times, and I find everybody like being best friends with each other by the end of it, like
I
exchanging
love
phone
it.
numbers and stuff like that. And
There you
I'm
go.
like, yes, this is awesome.
See,
So
collaboration.
yes,
That's
so
why they have
I
the para unity.
yes, I would love to do that with you in the future and have like some of your girls come on my show again, and or just get a group of us, maybe like 5 or 6 of us, just
That
dish
would
it
be
out.
fun.
Be
Yes.
fun. Be
Oh yeah,
awesome.
especially you get the vibes and the energy from all of us getting together. Oh yeah,
Yes, yes. I think that'd be dope.
I'm down for it.
All right. Well, cool. Hey, I think we're gonna run out of time here because I gotta get going here soon. But is there for my audience and everybody else, is there a website or your YouTube channel you want to share with everybody?
Yes, we are on YouTube under Ghost Hunting Beauties, and we have season 2 is debuting on October 4th at 7 p.m. If you have trouble finding any of our social media channels or YouTube, just go to ghosthuntingbeauties.com and you will find us there. And we've got all the little clips. Like I say, each channel is going to have something different. So you might see something different on each one. So tune in. We've got clips coming on. I've got my podcast as well. So I'd love to have you sometime come on
Yeah,
my
that'd be great.
podcast and we can
Oh,
talk some aliens.
yeah. I could showcase Colonel Wendell Stevens photographs, a
Yes.
genuine UFO photograph. So yeah, it blow your mind.
That's incredible. So yeah, so look for us at ghosthuntingbeauties.com and get ready for the premiere. It's coming up. It's only a few days away.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, hey, stick with me for 2 more minutes.
You got it.